wanted to try being a stylist, makeup artist, or even an interior designer? Well, what if I told you that you can do all of those things from the comfort of your bedroom? Or even better yet, on your family computer?
Wow!
Of course, you may be wondering, how's this possible? Well, all you would have to do is hop on a little Korean website known as Roi World. One of the best websites to visit if you wanted to try all the aforementioned things. And guess what? It's all for free. Yes, for free, unlike a certain game where you would have to pay for all of that. Sure, there's not as much customization, but would you rather pay $40 for an expansion pack? Yeah, I thought so. Besides, you always have your imagination. To those who may not remember Roi World, that's totally okay. I understand that many of us may not have as good as a memory as we once did, so maybe some of this gameplay footage I prepared will help get those gears running again. Hi, it's Ploopy, and welcome to my channel! I'm starting another little mini-series within my series of Flash games, and this time it's going to be about Korean Flash games. Unlike the English and Japanese Flash games I've made videos about, the history of Korean Flash games are a lot more obscure and undocumented, but through some extensive research, I was able to find some information on Roi World. From what I've gathered with the little straws I have, Roi World was started back in October 2008 by Willmake. As for Willmake, it was established in 2002 and there's very little information about them other than the fact that they were the ones in charge of running Roi World. Now, Roi World itself was aimed towards 10 to 18-year-olds, and it was a place for people to ask questions, answer quizzes, gossip about Korean celebrities, and of course play dress-up games. To do so, you would simply head over to the Dressup tab, where you would be presented with an assortment of games. In this tab, there would be weekly rankings as well. Each week, users would vote on the designs they liked the best. These weekly rankings would then contribute to your overall ranking on the website, or at least that's what I was able to discern. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the Wayback Machine to load up the images. Beyond the website, Roi World also sold physical merch as well. At one point, they even had a pop-up shop back in 2007. The merch consisted of their mascots Yeojoyoung and Moonboy, as well as books featuring some of the girls from their dress-up games. Fun fact, Yeojoyoung and Moonboy had their own web series and webcomic. I will link a video from the web series down in the comments below so that you guys can go check it out for yourselves. In the images, you may have noticed that there was a Puka pop-up as well. This is because in 2007, Roi World also participated in eFun 2007 with Puka Racing. eFun was basically a game contest that started in 2001, which then transformed into an esports festival. Since Puka can be its own video topic, I will save that for another time. Anyways, back to Roi World. In addition to its games, Roi World also hosted several campaigns throughout its lifespan to ensure that the youth would have a positive impact on internet culture. One of the campaigns they hosted was the Love Life campaign. The main goal of this campaign was to make youths realize the value in life and that they should work on earnestly achieving their dreams. Honestly, this is a really admirable campaign they hosted, and I feel like more of this is needed, especially with how social media seems to reward negativity and hate nowadays. Eventually, Roi World would be bought out by Lifetime Network sometime around November 2008, only for them to completely run it to the ground. Meanwhile, the Korean website was relaunched as Teenya, which was based off the word teen. Unfortunately, that seems to have been shut down shortly after as well. But yeah, that was all the background info I could manage to find. If you have more information, feel free to share it, as I'm pretty sure I missed out on some stuff. Also, when I played these games as a kid, Roi World had long died out and I was playing its remnants on the English-speaking Flash websites. Let's talk about what you guys probably came here for. The games. So the first type that I would mainly play would be the dress-up games. In them, all the girls have huge, sparkly, kawaii eyes, and you also have the option to remove their hair. Unfortunately, some of them would be more bald than others, as indicated by this girl, so my recommendation is that you either keep their hair on or switch it out for one of the many wigs provided. As for the clothes, you have to manually drag them on top. If you're a perfectionist like me, this can get really annoying really quickly because the clothes rarely aligned with the character. In fact, there's a higher chance of a bird falling on your head than these clothes fitting. But at the same time, I can see how all these flaws add to the nostalgic charm of these old games. In addition to its jankiness, a lot of the outfits and character designs reflected the Korean fashion scene at that time. From the low-waisted denim and brightly graphic shirts with random English words, it's the epitome of every K-drama MC's closet back in the 2000s. And don't even get me started on the accessories. Almost every game featured a huge bag or layered necklace, which you'll see more of later on. I also noticed that there were several different art styles in these games, some more uncanny than others, specifically the ones that would blink. Like, you're already staring into my soul, I really don't need you to become sentient as well. Creepy characters and janky clothing aside, the format of the dress-up games would vary. A few would even feature a plotline that I wouldn't understand at all because it was in Korean. But from what I could figure out, you have to dress up for a certain occasion and pick out the right outfit to get scored at the end. You have the option to pick out the outfit, hair, makeup, and accessory. When I first put on the makeup, I was wondering why it wasn't working. Turns out you have to click multiple times to change the opacity of it. But this didn't do anything because I failed all of these games regardless. And for the Hansel and Gretel one particularly, I couldn't even get a score above 30. I literally went through almost all of the outfit combos and for some reason I just kept on losing. To be honest, I think the witch just hates me and wanted an excuse to turn Hansel into a cat. There's no other explanation as to why I couldn't get above a 30. Just thinking about it pisses me off, so let's move on to the next set of games. After picking out your outfits, you have to do your makeup, of course. Unless you're the type to do it beforehand, then I can't relate in that case. But anyways, for these makeup games, they are a lot like the dress-up ones. Once again, you drag and drop the items on the character's face, or you can click on the items to apply it. It really depends on the format of the game once again. To change the clothes and the hair, you can just click on it directly. This definitely eliminates the hassle of trying to align the items on the character, and if you want to change the character's skin color, you totally can. Just note that the ranges go from light to less light or even orange sometimes. Very interesting skin color options. Then again, there are people who are the shade of an orange on this planet. One of my favorite things to do in these games is stacking the eyelashes. I don't know why, maybe it's the sheer absurdity of it, or perhaps it adds much needed dimensions to the 2D eyes of these characters. But you can't deny it doesn't look too bad. Right, guys? Right? Once you're done with your makeup, you need a house, of course. I don't know how that correlates, but just know you need a house. Wait, what's this? Everything's scattered everywhere? That's not going to do. We're going to need to clean that up. The next category of games are the room makeover ones, and let me just tell you that this was my favorite genre, and they still are. If I didn't have adult responsibilities, I would probably spend my days playing these. Usually in these games, they start off with a pile of junk in the corner that we have to sort through. In this video, I have a teddy bear themed one, a bedroom, and a living room. Wait, I almost forgot the witch room, aka the most recognizable one. Let's start with that one first. So you're given this interesting isometric looking room that you have to decorate. I assumed that since the floor was pink upstairs that it was only right that the pink furniture would go there. Once I set up the main items for the bedroom, I worked my way downstairs and began adding the characters and other items. Hold up, guys. Is it just me, or does this witch look eerily familiar to someone I know? Oh, yup. It's the same witch as the one from Hansel and Gretel. Only it's a younger version of her. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. But then I noticed all these little details, like the crow in the cage and the little blue robe that's hung up. What really sold it for me was the cat, which was the same cat that the witch turned Hansel into. My conspiracy theory is that the witch's childhood cat died, and unable to cope with this loss, she turned every kid that wandered into her home into a cat until that cat passed away. As a result, I was playing a losing game from the start. Now that we've solved the mystery behind the Hansel and Gretel game, let's go back to what I was talking about earlier. I think one factor that I really liked about the Witch Room makeover was the ability to throw out the decorations I didn't want. Because, let's be honest, some of the decorations in the other games make no sense at all. Speaking of the other games, let's move on to the teddy bear themed room. In this one, they have fences inside their home for some reason. Whatever, their house, I guess. Actually, wait, I'm not even too sure if this is a house, because what house has that many couches in the living room? Now that I think about it some more, it may have been a cafe or something. Whoopsies. Too late to go back now. Unlike the witch house decorations, you have to dig through the items in this one and strategically place them. This means you have to be careful not to click on the wrong item or else it will pop to the top layer. You don't know how many times I had to deal with this stupid carpet. Since the tables were on top, I would accidentally click on the carpet, causing it to rearrange everything. Another thing you have to worry about is the fact that the items do not align with the room. However, this is to be expected after playing the Dressup games. Eventually, I did finish decorating it, and this is what I came up with. Probably not the look that was intended, but it's organized at least. Next up are the living room and bedroom makeover games. Honestly, there isn't anything too notable about these ones. Well, I guess some of the decoration was very interesting. I don't know why I found this so funny, but for the bedroom makeover, the painting is literally the character in the same pose and outfit pasted over a landscape that seems to have been made in MS Paint. If that isn't the definition of art, then I don't know what is. But yeah, this was the history of Roi World and its games. Of course, I didn't include all of them because that would literally be insane. The gameplay itself already took me 1 hour to play, and that was only a tiny portion of it. In fact, they also have coloring games as well, however it was so boring that I didn't even want to include it in my review. Like, what is there to say even? I was given a picture and I had to color it. Anyways, if you made it to the end, let me know which game was your favorite. Did you play any of these, or are there other games you played but I didn't mention? With that said, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe if you want to see which Korean game publisher I will be reviewing next. Hint, they also have a rainbow logo, so if you want to find out, stay tuned for the next video. Ta-ta!